Welcome to where the screen door slams and the coffee mug hits the table. You're listening to The Family Balancing Act with me, Maureen Huntley, mom, grandmother, and board-certified holistic and functional medicine health coach. Each episode will explore the realities of your day-to-day family life in this modern era of nonstop texts, memes, and technology. After all, how do we keep ourselves sane and our family healthy? I'll have amazing guests and thought-provoking discussions, and we'll take a holistic look at family health, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. Whether it's a micro perspective of family involving healthy snacks, teenagers with an attitude, stressed out husbands, partners, adult children, potty training, elder care, grandchildren, college prep, or a macro perspective of world events, including flu, earthquakes, the brainwashing media, finances, and oh, so much more. We'll find a way together. So take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone. Bring on the Family Balancing Act. Welcome. Come right in. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee or a green juice, because we have a lot to chat about here on the Family Balancing Act, where we are restoring the heart of motherhood, one conversation at a time. I'm Maureen Huntley, certified holistic and functional medicine health coach, mom, grandmother, wife, and CEO of my family's home operations. Just trying to balance it all when actually it's not balance, it's a wobble, because balance is only for a moment, here and there. It starts with you, and if it doesn't, it should. Taking care of yourself, because self-care is healthcare. I was hoping to emerge from what I thought might be allergies or a cold and a headache that I've had now for 7 days. I woke up to the realization that I, once again, have a sinus infection. I know that my body talks to me all the time. And when I'm not listening, this is what happens. Because, of course, I'm too busy following through with my obligations and my self-imposed rules and stuff. Listen, over the years, from when my children were small to even now as adults, I would rarely get sick unless, of course, I was on my last tether, exhausted and oh, so stressed. Even when I thought I wasn't stressed, my body was talking to me all the time. So when I'm on that last tether, exhausted and stressed, I can usually count on a cold, a flu, or possibly a sinus infection with a very large headache. I used to push through it until it got to about day 10, but here I am at day 7 thinking, oh, I'm wiser, because I know that a cold only lasts 3 to 5 days. So I surely would know that this is more than that. But now at day 7, it's time to do something about it again, and to do a really deep dive into how I'm living my life and what I'm doing and not doing to take care of me. So I think back and I wonder, what have I done? What is all the crazy stuff that I've added into my life, and the things that I don't pay attention to, which is like my breathing and taking time for just deep breaths and noticing the world around me, laughing. I tell you, when you laugh, it opens up every pore in your body. It opens up your chest. It makes you feel good. It lifts your energies, and it also wards off illness. When working with my clients, I support them in setting all those important goals to take care of themselves and take time for themselves, self-care, gut care, because that is actually the seed of where all illness begins and ends. So by talk about detoxing and detoxing not only the food in their lives, but also all the stuff in their lives that clouds their creative process. And we are creative beings. We create our health and we also create our illnesses. The ironic thing is, I'm always in process with this, always. I totally get it. I live it. So a sinus infection, cold, flu, however my stress manifests, it started with stress fed by my out of whack gut flora. So I hit myself up on the side of the head and go, I should have eaten more veggies and drank a few more juices, green juices at that. Taken more walks, laughed more, gotten out of my head and dumped the sugar out of my life. Sugar is the huge, huge, huge culprit. Several years ago, I remember standing outside the school with a host of other moms at the 3 p.m. pickup, which we would normally do often, easily once a week, where we'd stand outside, all of us gathered together just to gossip a little bit, chat about the best teachers or the worst teachers or the best kids or the worst moms or the best moms or whatever. Some of us would be sniffling away, feeling depleted, exhausted, and done. Of course, with a dull headache thing going on. One mother, I remember running up right from her car, right to the group going, oh, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'm exhausted. And now I've had a cold for 3 weeks. Well, it turns out I have another sinus infection. There began a deep conversation about how weird it was that we could all end up with multiple sinus infections over and over again. To say this conversation was a one-off would not be true. This had happened many times and in many different places with moms in the grocery stores, playground, football practice, or out to dinner as couples. Oh, by the way, rarely was it the husbands or the partners that had the sinus infection issue. But mom, she took it on because you know why? Mom can work right through it. Yeah, mom will just keep pushing through. She could have a limb missing or 2 limbs missing, and she'd still push through because she's mom and she can do it. So what's the deal? This is the deal. It's stress-induced and an immune deficiency issue. Over and over again, the hits of stress that breaks down our immune system over and over again, and then bam, you get hit with a cold. Maybe from one of your kids, but anyway, it can turn into a sinus infection. Lovely. Honestly, as I said before, add in the sugar and you can pretty well count on making your immune system depleted. What you need is some quiet time and drinking enough water. That's just a few things. But who has time for that? Stress can absolutely trigger all kinds of illnesses. So how does stress cause a sinus problem? Well, per the Ashford Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic in Georgia, prolonged stress is known to weaken your immune system, making you susceptible, of course, to a host of diseases. But this makes you more vulnerable to the common sinus irritants such as dust and allergens. It allows bacteria, viruses, germs, and infections to take hold and then make you sick. So what's a body to do? Well, since we're no longer living in prehistoric times, although it might seem like some people are, i.e. a tiger is not staring us down as their dinner at all. Yet in the modern day version, that could show up like we're running late, we're running in the door, our family needs to be fed, and who'll be staring us down as we walk through the door? A chorus of, what's for dinner? I need a costume for tomorrow. The wrapping paper sale money was due yesterday. I want. I need. And then comes, I don't feel so good. I have a cold. And there's the doorway to your future. Yep. That's your future. Stress, a cold, flu, sinus infection, whatever shows up for you. For some people, their back goes out. It goes back to taking care of ourselves and getting to that place of self-care, self-love, healthcare. Listen, we all face incredibly stressful situations in our lives. And sometimes it's a little stress that will just send us right over the edge. And that's just being human. And of course, a mom. God knows we went through this the last 2 years. If you weren't sick, it was making you scared. And that is stress. Stress floods our body with all sorts of hormones, and that your heart pounds, your breath speeds up, and your muscles tense. The Harvard Medical School's webpage cites one way to invoke the relaxation response is through a technique first developed in the 1970s by a Harvard Medical School cardiologist by the name of Dr. Hubert Benson. He was the editor of Harvard Medical School Special Health Report called Stress Management: Approaches for Preventing and Reducing Stress. So let's take a look at their thoughts, but I have a few of my own to add in there. So stress less and immunity boosting with self-care. That is my belief. So the Harvard Medical School recommends, take a deep breath, to focus on your breath. In this simple, powerful technique, you take long, slow breaths in, and this is breathing in through your abdominal or your belly breathing, letting it expand, getting big and fat. So the moment where you can get all fat. Just take in that deep breath. And as you exhale, just release all thoughts and let them float away. Yeah, right. Take in that deep breath. And just release. Don't even think about the thoughts. Just think about your breath. That's my 2 cents. Just breathe in and breathe out. It helps us focus on our breath. And by focusing on our breath, the breath takes care of our health and our body and releases stress. Another number 2, what they've recommended is a body scan, or as I call it, your body talks to you and you talk back. So your body's always telling you what's going on, but are you listening? But I bet you're always talking back to it. Shush, don't tell me what to do. Don't remind me that my hip hurts or my gut hurts because I don't have time for it. I really want to just move right through this. I'm going to ignore this. But our body keeps going, we're going to hurt even more, or we're going to make you feel it even more. Or guess what? That 5-day cold, that is now going to get worse because you're not taking care of me. So when we do a body scan, this technique blends kind of breath focus with progressive muscle relaxation. So you can take in a deep breath and you focus on one group of muscles at a time and then releasing them. So you can take and tighten up your fists and your arms all the way to your neck if you feel tension there. And then as you take that deep breath in, you've tightened up. And then when you release all the tension. And then take in another deep breath and tighten up your buttocks and your gut and your spine and just hold tight and take and release that. And you can do that throughout your whole body. And as you're doing it, I usually work from the feet up all the way up to the top of my head. You can feel the relaxation set in, if even for a moment. And that's something you can do in your car when you're running around. And if you have a moment in the car and you get in from getting groceries or from anything else, just take a moment to do this little relaxation technique, just to let go. Another one is guided imagery. So I always say just check out YouTube because they've got some really great guided imagery where you close your eyes and you can just listen to a speaker talk you through a vision of just like the wind blowing through the trees. If you can't imagine that yourself, ideally, it would be the best way to do this is to actually look at a tree, whether it's got leaves on it or not, and watch it, see how it moves, and put your attention on something so simple for even 10 seconds allows stress to release. Another one is meditation. I love meditation because people often will say it's so hard. It's hard. It can be, but it's really a great place to go to quiet your mind. Now, even yogis or people who do this all the time work on the quieting the mind, but the mind is just there to keep chattering away to us. So when we do a meditation, even, and you start by doing like a 1-minute meditation, closing your eyes and allowing the breath to come in and the breath to exit. And as you do that, if focusing on your breath is a great way to release stress again, and do this through meditation. And if thoughts come in, breathe them in. I've got groceries to get today, or work to do, piles of work, laundry, and release it. And now try to take in the next breath and just imagine it's air and release it. And it once described to me, if you can imagine a glass bowl and a feather just rolling across that glass bowl. So if you're taking a deep breath, it's moving the feather across the glass bowl and releasing it as the feather moves the other direction. Something very simple. It's not meant to be this practice of perfection, because that's a bunch of baloney. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, these are slow movements. And they're a great practice also if you are interested in getting into that. Walking meditations, just walking is a perfect way to release and let go of tension. Paying attention to the beauty around you, even people in other people's faces. Repetitive prayer. Silently saying short prayers or phrases while you breathe and putting your attention on where prayer sends you and to whomever you pray for or are praying to. I pray to God. I pray to Jesus. I pray to my parents who are long gone. I pray to my angels and all of my ancestors and all the saints. Prayer is a great way to calm yourself down. And I know often in prayer we are begging for something, we're asking for information. But if we can just let it go and pray for the sake of praying and being present. I always, personally, I find that taking 1 minute is a lot sometimes, but it's a start. And I always try to do that. Just start with 1 minute, or sometimes that's all I have in a moment, just to take a moment or a minute to just take a breath. So you may wonder, why is it the health quote unquote, the health coach who's getting sick and not taking care? Well, doing that self-care thing is a lifelong practice. And we all have to forgive ourselves and love ourselves up and give ourselves space to take care of ourselves. I too am in that process, and it's a forever process. It never ends. And it's the falling out of center and trying to get back to balance when there is really no balance that is the teacher for me getting back to me. I always sign my notes and emails and letters with a deep breath, exhale. And that is my reminder to do exactly that. Sometimes that's all it takes to take the edge off, is just to take a deep breath and exhale. Self-care, loving yourself up, gut health. It all goes together. So you'll hear me talk about it and slip it in whenever I can, because we all need reminders to stay on course, to be a healthier person, to be a healthier mom, to have a healthier family, and to have healthier partners and a healthier world. And it starts with us. We'll be right back with today's guest, Wendy Chiccitti, author, writer, speaker, artist, teacher, and counselor. Oh, and the former elected legislator in Idaho. And she's a mother of 7 and a grandmother of 8. And her secret sauce, oh, you just wait. Stay right here, take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone. Here on the Family Balancing Act.
Time to visit our Facebook page and like us. If you're saying no, it's time to change that answer. What's great about Contact Talk Radio's Facebook page is the fact that so many people are contributing helpful information to it. Not only does the staff at Contact Talk Radio update the page throughout the day, but so do our hosts. You'll know when shows are live and what the show's topic is. If a host is doing readings, you'll know when to call in and what number to use. Or maybe one of our hosts just wants to share some words of wisdom or a picture to brighten your day. You won't know what's waiting for you unless you visit our page. Go to facebook.com/CTR Network and like us. That's facebook.com/CTR Network. Happy Facebooking.
Welcome back to the Family Balancing Act, where we are restoring the heart of motherhood one conversation at a time. I am so very honored to have Wendy Chiccitti with us today. Here at the Family Balancing Act, Wendy is the quintessential Earth Mother, offering stability and insight to her many clients through their unique struggles for her own unique struggles through over the past 25 years. She is highly intuitive and exceptionally skilled in holistic astrology, romance, career, relocation, finance, children and families, astrological and spiritual coaching, Akashic records, and as a teacher and a consultant, which is one of my favorite things. So I am so excited, Wendy, to have you here. Take a seat, grab a coffee or green juice, and let's have this big talk.
Thank you, Maureen. It's great to be here with you today.
I just love, you have quite the resume. As I was looking over everything, I'm like, whoa, wow.
I think I've lived several lifetimes in this one lifetime.
Well, girl, you've done a great job at it. You have affected so many lives, not only your grandchildren and your own children, but all of your followers. You've got a YouTube channel. Would you like to tell our listeners what that is and where they can?
Well, it's twixt-earth-and-sky.com is my website, and my YouTube channel is under Twixt Earth and Sky or Wendy Chiccitti. You can find it either way. And what I do is do videos. I've been doing lately a lot of videos with my daughter, Misty. And in fact, we're going to do another one on Friday, and where we talk about what's going on astrologically. This next one's going to be about the eclipses and how to prepare what's going on in the world and how to get ready for the upcoming changes that are afoot in the world.
I love that. And I'm 100% with you. And I'd love to hear your understanding of what is going on in the world.
Well, interestingly enough, when I was a legislator in Idaho, I was elected in 1976, actually 75, and I started my first session in January of 76. One of the first things that was given to me was a little book called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. And in that little book was outlined by congressmen who had been in the government what the plan was for the New World Order, the one world government. And it just outlined the whole thing. And so when the pandemic hit, I knew immediately what was happening. Mm-hmm. This was their final takedown, their final play to get the whole world in compliance and under control. So...
yeah, it's absolutely mind blowing. And I remember when the pandemic hit, and I think I was about, as soon as I heard the rumblings of it, and I didn't even follow any of that stuff at all. It was a gut feeling where I was like, what is going on? There's something not right. Something's not, like, the information is so disjointed and you're getting like higher ups telling us little underlings how we're going to live our lives. And then about 3 days in the lockdown, I was like, that does it. Yeah. And I started diving deep, like deep in the deep end of a lot of information. And I try to be discerning because some of that stuff out there is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you find out some of the ridiculous stuff is real.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And then I realized as soon as people were getting blocked, you couldn't say what you were thinking. And that's not this country. That's not what we were founded on. So,
yeah, the censorship.
Right.
Yeah, it hit really big. And it's like, what's going on?
Oh, it felt like a dream or a movie. And people now are saying to me, oh, it's a movie. And I was like, yep, it's a movie. Mm-hmm. It's like a dream.
Yeah. We're just watching it all play out in front of us, what their plans are and what they want to do. But I don't believe it will ever happen. I think there are so many good people who are seeing through it that I think their plans will be thwarted.
Yeah, I have great faith in that. I really believe that is the truth.
Well, I think if God can deliver the Israelites out of Egypt, he can certainly deliver us.
Some of us. I know. It really, you think about it and you think about all of the miracles that have happened throughout millenniums.
Right.
That why can't this be ours?
I believe it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think we have to learn so much. People are so lost. Many people are lost. And I worry about the children and families and schools and the nonsense going on there. And so they're caught up in this wheel. And I wonder if they see what's really happening.
I think there's a lot of confusion out there. I am the one thing that really impacts me, because I try and stay emotionally neutral and hold my power, but the one thing that really upsets me is what they're doing to our children. They're literally intentionally destroying our children, from all of the vaccines to what's going on in the schools. And these children that were born prior to 2008, which is the Pluto in Sagittarius generation. This generation was born to save the world. They know this. Mm-hmm. So they're systematically doing everything in their power to destroy this generation of youth.
I clearly, and I see it in my area. I hear about it. And what's happening, a lot of people are deciding to homeschool their children. They're beginning, like, notice, like, the school systems are losing participants. Mm-hmm. Teachers are exhausted. They're exhausted. I have a teacher in the family, and she's absolutely fried. She goes in, and the children aren't even engaged. Yeah. There's no homework. there's no, and look, I'm kind of generalizing things. Clearly, there are schools out there and where parents are very involved in really taking a stand and making sure that children are learning and stepping forward. But big city schools are kind of losing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it all has to change. And that's part of what's going on astrologically, is that we're in what's considered the great shaking of the earth. And all of these systems that have gone awry are going to end, from our medical profession, what's going on in medicine, what's going on in schools, what's going on with money, what's going on with food, what's going on with big pharma. All of those things are going to collapse, and new systems, interestingly enough, are already being created. There's a parallel universe going on where we have the old that's collapsing and the new that's being built and moving forward. So we shouldn't fear it. We should be grateful for it, because we need all of the old corrupt ways to die and the new systems to be born and thrive.
It's empowering, actually. But as I say, I've been doing a deep dive, and you've been doing your work. You totally understand this, and you probably knew way before the rest of us. You did, certainly in 1976.
Yeah,
the little book there, which is mind blowing that was the case even back then. This has been in the works for a very long time.
For a long, long time, since the 1800s.
Mm-hmm. It's around the Civil War time, around that time. Yeah. Stuff that's really got messy. On kind of another subject, I wanted to ask you, because somebody had asked me this yesterday, a very good friend of mine, and I know she's listening now. Hi, Beth. She wanted to know how astrology and doing like Akashic records and all of the work that you do, when you're a person of faith, when you have you follow biblical teachings and that, how do you meld the two together? Because there is a lot of talk about that being kind of it could be a dark art.
Right. Well, first of all, astrology is not what the Bible considers soothsaying. Soothsaying is a dark energy. Astrology is not dark. In fact, Jesus was an Essene. A lot of people don't realize that he learned from the Essenes back in Qumran in Israel. And the Essenes were called the keepers of light. And they're the ones that taught everybody what was going on. They were astrologers. They were astronomers. They knew the power. And why in the world would they say, follow the star, if they didn't realize there was something very important going on that the heavens were expressing? And if you believe that God created the heavens and the earth, we know that the moons, pull on the planet. Why would we not think that everything he created didn't impact us, didn't affect us? It's almost like blasphemy to think that that's bad. Now, a lot of people don't understand that in the 14th century, Constantine edited the Bible. And the Bible that he created for his mother, who was a Christian, is called the King James Version of the Bible. And everything that had to do with reincarnation and astrology was removed. Now, other people don't realize this too. They don't think this through. Jesus was a Jew, first and foremost. He was a Jew. And not only that, Christianity was not born until 325 years after he was crucified. Jesus did not start Christianity. He had nothing to do with it. He was a teacher. And it was the people that came after who loved him, and his words were passed down from generation to generation, that they decided to create the Christian church after him and their interpretation of him. Yeah. So
because you look,
astrology has been so maligned when it's
Yes.
really so powerful, where you can learn so much about yourself and understand what's going on in your life. It's a great tool that, clear back, it was understood as being a very powerful science and art. It has nothing to do with soothsaying at all. And also the Akashic records, the Bible talks a lot about the book of life. The Akashic records is the book of life. Everything that we think, everything that we do is recorded in the Akasha, or what they call the book of life. And you have the ability to tap into that information to get knowledge, to ascertain what's true in your life and what isn't. And none of that falls under the category of soothsaying.
Wow. You just really explained that so well to so many people, because I too have waffled with this. I used to, I kind of stepped away from the church and then wanted to, expand my awareness on what was out there in the world, and did all sorts of things, tarot cards. I, played with a Ouija board. And now I think back, oh, dear God, what was I doing? And I in that, that was that dark energy, or could possibly bring in the dark energy. But you're saying that doesn't happen with astrology at all, because it's very clear.
There are dark people out there who dabble in darkness, and they're going to bring darkness into everything they do because that's who they are. So you have to judge the person, I think. Discernment is the right word, not judgment, but discernment, whether the person is actually coming from the light. And of course I am. There's no way in the world I will delve into the dark. It's like, no way.
Yeah.
I work in the light, and astrology is a very, it takes a lot of intelligence. It takes a lot of knowledge and study and understanding to even comprehend this magnificent system that was created to make each one of us unique in each incarnation.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi scrolls were discovered back in the 1940s, 45 and 47 respectively, that we saw everything that was truly said about reincarnation and about astrology and all of that. Those Dead Sea Scrolls and all of those are full of references that were removed from the original Bible.
It's all just so it's fascinating and mind-blowing at the same time.
And mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. And nobody can ever learn it all in one lifetime. No.
And so what was it? How did you get to this place?
Well, I was raised very strictly religiously, and I was the black sheep of the family, and out of 8 children. And I did politics, like I said, several lifetimes. I started having babies in my teenage years, and then went into politics, then quit politics and went into interior design and had my own interior design business for 25 years. And while I was doing design in Southern California, I was in Encinitas and with a designer friend of mine, and it was the lunch break. We were doing a street fair. And we walked into this curio shop during lunch, and this lady walked up to me and she said, "Would you like an astrology reading?" And I looked at her and blinked and said, "No, I want a teacher." Where that came from, I have absolutely no idea. And she said to me, "You're in luck. My next class starts next week." And we studied with her for 5 years, my husband and I. And at that time, she was president of the San Diego Astrological Society. And then she left, and another fellow got in, Jim Chavon. And we studied with him, very technical astrologer, for 3.5 years. So, we had a great foundation in understanding, astrological implications. And the thing that was so fascinating is, I know you deal with motherhood, having 7 children, is, that's a tough row. and
Yeah, God.
and the worst pain a mother can feel is to feel she's failed her child or her children in some way. And I had some pretty tough kids. And so, of course, I immediately blamed myself. And I was taught in the religion that I grew up in that the sins of the children be upon the heads of the parents, which I think is the most horrid thing to ever say to any woman. And so I was suffering. I know, I was suffering greatly. And that pain is so much more painful than physical pain. It's just a pervasive, horrible pain. And so when we were learning astrology, I said, can we, look at the charts of my children? She says, yeah, we'll learn on that. So I brought all their charts in, and as I was learning about them, it was like, oh my God, no wonder. It wouldn't have mattered who their parent was. These are the lessons they came here to learn. My job is to guide them the best I can, but I certainly can't change what their lessons are. You see?
Wow.
And by the time I got through with that, all of the pain that I was feeling was gone. And it was like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. And it's like, you take the bow and you shoot the arrow, and where it lands, you've lost control of that. You see, once the arrow goes out, and they have, and and so you do your best to guide them as Jesus did us, or God, and I liked this about Christ, is that, he taught us what to do. He didn't do it for us. Right. And that's the big lesson for our children, is you teach them correct principles, and then over time they will learn what they need to learn. But we cannot do it for them. In fact, you've heard of that, how bad it is to break the shells of newborn chickens, right? If you break those shells, you weaken them. If you do it for them, it's much better that they use that little tooth and their muscles and they wiggle out of there. Then they're born strong. But if you break the shells for them, they are weak. And that's very important that we understand that with our children. We cannot break their shells for them.
That is perfectly profound, and something that we all need to be reminded of, because I know at the time when I was raising my children, that was already we were already beginning the helicopter hovering business. And the next generation comes along, and that's doing it for them. That's not allowing them the freedom to mess up. Mm-hmm. There's an incident where one of my sons didn't get a trophy when everybody else on the team got one. And I was enraged. What did you embarrassed my child. And I went over, and he didn't do what the rest of the team did. So then he got granted a trophy. And in that moment, I realized what I did was wrong.
Yeah.
I'd already done the damage, and that guilt. But then at another level, I understand that our children they're a gift to us. They are our teachers, and they chose to be with us. Mm-hmm. So did my son choose to go through that experience or not? Yeah.
Yeah, we're in school here. The Earth life is just a big school.
Right.
And everything is a lesson.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love to teach is that when something difficult happens in your life, the human response is, oh my God, it's so terrible. Oh, no, you stop and you go, thank you, God. What should I have learned from this? What is my lesson? What is my gift from this? Because they're all lessons, instead of moaning and bemoaning that, everything is against you. It's for you.
It's for us. And that's so hard. That's so hard for parents.
Yeah.
To get to that place. I think maybe in our wisdom now, we look back and we can say some of that. But with what you do, so when you take on a family, when you coach a family and counsel them through this? What is your process?
Well, first of all, I have to see the astrology of each person and how that astrology interacts. Okay. Mm-hmm. Parents sometimes, and I had this happen to me, out of my 7 children, I had one child that did not connect with me at all. Now, typically you will find a sign or two that goes through the whole family, and you will find, the mother's sun is conjunct the child's moon or ascendant, and you find these connections. But oftentimes there's a child that doesn't make any of those magnetic points of attraction or connections, that is just, and I had one that I just literally could not deal with. Didn't know how to deal with it, didn't understand it. But what I can see through looking at everybody's astrology, I can see how they all interact together, what the interplay is, and also what the future interplay looks like for them. Yeah. And so I counsel with the parents and go through each child and say, okay, you connect with this one here, you connect with that one there. These are going to be the challenges. These are going to be the gifts. Your job is to magnify the gifts, and minimize the challenges. That's what it's all about for us individually and for us from a family perspective.
Do the children ever, in older children, hand over their parents or want their parents' astrology charts done so that they can see their history, or even the grandparents? Have you ever done anything back that far?
We can. The issue is always the birth time and accurate data. The way I see the most clearly is with accurate data where, we have a birth certificate or something that says the exact time. That is so critical. And so I've gone back and done my grandparents. I had, their birth date, and I had, where they were born. But I didn't have their ascendant, and that's calculated by the time of your birth. And so I wasn't able to get the clearest picture, but I did get to see a lot about them. And it's interesting. It's an interesting study to go back and do that, and what brought my grandmother and grandfather together, and why I had one grandmother that, had a nervous breakdown, and, looking. What we find too with astrology, the most we learn is through hindsight. When the planets were doing this and they were impacting your chart in this way, this is when so much happened. You see, and that's what we're going through globally today, is we can look back and see when the planets were like they are now, what was going on in the world, which was clear back in, the Great Depression, where everything was changing.
And I know you've got a show on Friday on YouTube on this, but there are so many solar flares. There's a lot going on.
And that's in addition to the astrological placements, like the square between Saturn and Uranus and that kind of thing. The solar flares are adding another degree of complexity to the energies that we feel.
Wow. Yeah. Just wow.
I know.
There's, and we need to take care. We need to prepare. And especially if you have a family, you need to prepare and get your life kind of pulled together, your family pulled together, know where you're all going to be, make sure that you have food and supplies. And I know it's overwhelming. And there's a lot of new people going, what? Wait, what's going on? Oh, you're kidding me. No, that's ridiculous. But there are too many conversations about this now to avoid it.
Right. And what's coming is unstoppable. And it's meant to be that way to wake people up. Humans only wake up if there's pain. If everything's Pollyanna, they just go along and everything's fun and they don't learn anything. It's the pain that wakes us up. And that's what we're in right now. It's like, wake up, people. look at what's right in front of you. Don't believe all the crap that you hear. Follow your heart and your soul and use your discernment. It's crazy. And the way I work with people is, okay, if your power went out for 2 weeks, what would you do? How would you heat your home? How would you eat? How would you cook your food? What food do you need? What's the size of your family? What are you going to cook? How are you going to cook?
Right.
And I love this cowboy. He's called Cowboy Kent Rollins on YouTube, and he teaches you how to cook over a fire with cast iron. I love that. I love,
basic.
Yeah, Girl in the Woods. She's a minimalist, a prepper. She's wonderful. I love her. She's built her own cabin. She teaches you how to make toilets that don't use any water. She teaches you how to dig a well, her and her husband, how easy it is. And just so many wonderful things, but you got to get in that prepper mode right now. I don't know how much time we have left to prep, frankly.
Yeah, I feel it in my bones that there's something coming very soon. Something.
Yeah.
But, I've been feeling kind of on the edge of that for a while, so have done some prepping. But my concern is for the people in apartments in the cities and that.
Yes.
They're like, get out. But if they can't get out, or they feel they can't, or they're not quite, they've got 1 foot in this information and 1 foot out of it. It's kind of not, they don't want to believe it. They're still in the dream.
Well, I think that's true. A lot of people don't want to believe it. And I go back because I've been reading Exodus, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a very spiritual person, and I like to see what has been written and what has been said before. And when the people of Israel left and were finally set free, and Moses led them out of Egypt, they were in the desert for 40 years, and you don't think they didn't have trouble? Even when they left, Pharaoh said, get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. They didn't even have time to prep. They had to do it. Fortunately, they were able to take their cattle with them. But can you imagine in the desert, where was the water?
Well, they were mirages, I bet, on their way, but exactly. They do.
And you need to start making a list. You need to list what it is that you would need if the power was out for 2 weeks.
And we lived through Superstorm Sandy here on the East Coast, so I know it. 2 weeks without power we had.
Yes.
So training ground.
Mm-hmm. So we can't pinpoint exactly what will happen. The Uranus-Saturn square is all about earthquakes and eruptions, quick and sudden things that happen. I believe we'll probably have earthquakes here within the next few weeks, probably bigger than we've had in a long, long time. So you need to just be prepared and ready. But don't fear it, be prepared for it. Because what's coming is necessary for humanity to wake up. And that's really what it's all about. Wake up, people. Get out of your sleep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's pain that does it.
Wendy, you are brilliant. And thank you so much. I really hope that you come back on. I would get you back.
Yeah. I would love to.
It's so important. It's so important for families to get it together and to really do the work within the family, do the work that you provide and I provide. It just is important to move forward.
Well, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
And have curiosity.
Yeah.
Have curiosity if you don't believe it. So how can our listeners find you?
Well, I'm on twixtearthandsky.com, and that's and, not the ampersand, twixtearthandsky.com. And I do readings and coachings. I have a special on right now for a full astrological reading. That's an hour and a half reading. I mean, it gives you everything. It's a life reading. And then 3 months of coaching to help you integrate what you're learning.
Oh, Sign me up. It sounds great. Absolutely great. Again, thank you so very, very much, and have a beautiful day.
You're welcome, Maureen.
So take a deep breath and exhale. And let's take a moment, a Mom Zen's meditating moment for everyone. But first, we're going to take a Mom Zen's moment for Mom. And if we could just start with the heart, just acknowledging your heart. You can be driving, you can be walking, you can be sitting in a chair at home, you can be running after your toddler. Just take a moment and put one of your hands on your heart and just thank your heart for all the work it does, all the love it gives, and all the troubles it often holds. It's so hard sometimes to let go of the crap, life's crap. But there's so many more joyful moments. All you have to do is look at your children or your nieces and nephews or your grandchildren and see the joy and the crazy they get. And even when they're having a temper tantrum, wouldn't it be great to have one just like it? So just take a moment to actually acknowledge your heart and say thank you, because you are everything to me. You hold so much space for me and so much love. And now, if we could just take a moment, another meditating moment, and acknowledge your feet. Feel your feet. Are they in shoes? Do you feel your toes wiggling in your feet? How about the soles of your feet? Do you feel strong? Do you feel them? Is there any pain? Thank your feet for being able to cart you around, to dance, to move. And if you have pain, thank it for the pain. And grant it healing and love. And let's move up your legs and feel your legs. Are they strong? Are they weak? How do they feel? Do they feel good? Or can you not feel your legs? Thank your legs for presenting the way they do. Send them love, send them light, send them healing. And now let's move up to your hips and your first and second chakra area and feel it. Feel your hips. Do they move easily or are they stiff? Do you have pain or do you move with ease? Thank your hips for all the work they do and all the work they have done. And imagine all the work they will do. Send them love and light and healing. And then now just move up your torso and take a deep breath in and exhale and feel your belly moving and the warmth in your belly. And send your belly and all your torso so much love and light. It works so hard for you. It digests not only your food, but it digests your thoughts. It digests other people. It digests what you read and what you watch on television or over the internet or on your iPhone or on your iPad. A lot of information coming in. Not only does it go through your eyes and into your brain, your heart, but it goes into your gut. It's as though you've eaten it. Can you feel all that you've put in? Send your belly and your torso love and healing. And then tell it you'll take better care of it moving forward because you're so grateful for it. You're so grateful for your health. And now take another deep breath in and feel your lungs. And release it. Exhale. And thank your lungs for the air it takes in. And if your lungs don't feel strong, thank them for teaching you that they need to be stronger. They're sending you a message, and you can send the message right back saying you love them and you're grateful. And you send them love, light, and healing. And your arms are an extension of your heart. They're what hold and hug those you love, and they can hold and hug you. You can hug yourself. Take a moment to hug yourself. Be grateful for those arms. Be grateful that they hold so much. And if your arms are not strong, they don't work, be grateful for what they have done and for the lesson that they're teaching you, and send them love and light. And now take another deep breath in and feel the light coming through your head, all the way from the heavens, bright light, all the way down through your head, all the way down through your feet, through your entire body, and feel that loving light of healing. So thank you so very much for joining us today. I'm so very happy that you did. And if you're interested in working with me and finding out a little more, I'm getting a little clearer on how I need to present it. But you can find me at maureenhuntley.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under the Family Balancing Act. Do one-on-one coaching, workshops, and group sessions. I want to thank CTR and all of our podcast forums. The Family Balancing Act is here live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Central time, and noon Eastern time, 24/7 on the CTR network and all of our podcast platforms. So thank you again. Our intention here at the Family Balancing Act is to support you in your parenting journey, yet empower you to take care of yourself first. Your family needs you, but you need you more to keep moving toward a healthier you. Maybe you can even put yourself into a timeout. What do you think? Self-care is healthcare. No one can do it for you. Only you can. Respect yourself, your health, your needs. And when you do, you're teaching your family to do the same for you and for themselves. So take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone here on the Family Balancing Act, where we are restoring the heart of motherhood one conversation at a time.